What's the latest on Angus Brayshaw and the ramifications for the entire competition going forward?
Yeah, they're wide and varied, Ed. We know that he's owed 5 years of a 6-year contract that he had signed and had only completed 1 year of, and he will get the full, effectively, rack rate of that deal. It's going to be amounting to $3 million. You'll get that through various insurance policies.
So who pays that? The insurance company? Insurance
policies, and there's access to the AFL Players Association hardship fund. The combination of all of that will get the full tally for him.
Was that an independent insurance policy that Brayshaw had, or is that something that is available to
it's available to everybody, and there's two available there. There's two insurance policies. He had access, I believe, to both. And I just want to go back to the day of the announcement of Angus Brayshaw retiring. You can see there on the own Melbourne media release, medically retired in the headline, medically retired first paragraph, medically retired in the second paragraph. There's references to this. Obviously, it's an independent panel that made the assessment, and as such, Melbourne Footy Club will be paying the wage owed to Angus Brayshaw, but how that looks from a TPP, a total players payment perspective, is yet to play out. There's effectively a precedence at play, given Paddy McCartan had the same thing happen to him last year. Medically retired from the game by an independent panel, paid out outside the Swans' salary cap, outside their total player payment. Each case, I'd imagine, Ed, will be valued and assessed and analysed independently of each other, but there is a precedence of sorts, given it's happened to McCartan.
So, Damo, this still only relates to concussion-related, medically retired.
Medically retired, yeah. And again, all the other career-ending injuries, there's definitions for how that looks under these insurance policies, but we're referring specifically here to the concussion side of it with the independent medical panel.
Because there are payouts for players if you finish your career with an ending, like, for example,
Dane Swan
was the one I was thinking of when he did his foot, and that was the end of it. He did it in round one, and he was paid out, and so he should be, because that happened in the line of duty, line of work. So that's really what we're looking for. What happens, though, as we're starting to see these longer-term contracts, that's the vexed issue, where a player might just... We don't want to get to a stage where teams are using it to get players who have suddenly fallen foul of a club off the books.
Yep. And again, insurance policy, it's like people in general life have private health insurance and private life insurance and income protection insurance. It's assessed individually. There's not a blanket coverage of it. And it's why some are pushing for the industry to actually fund these insurance proposals and policies that are out there, but it needs to be done independently. And Brayshaw, from what I believe, had the two that he needed and will need now to get access to the money that's owed to him under the contract.
And I suppose, the line to look at over the summer has been Clayton Oliver down at Melbourne, where he's got a very long contract, and then suddenly he was all over the place. He couldn't come to training, played on the weekend and played reasonably well. In fact, you probably think he played sensationally given his summer. Here's what Christian Petrarca said last night on 360 on Foxtel about where the situation was with his teammate.
Caroline Wilson on Channel 9 last night said that you and Christian Salem and Jack Viney have lost trust in Clayton Oliver. Is there any level of truth in that?
Yeah, I guess I have a little bit in some way, but not in the last 11 or 10 or 11 weeks. Like, he's earned that trust back significantly. The thing that I've learned over the last 7 or 8 weeks is the power of forgiveness.
There you go. So Caroline Wilson's mail 100% right on Footy Classified on Monday night. How does this all tie in with the whole situation, as far as you're concerned?
Yeah, look, I've got no doubt that Oliver was allowed back into the team in a time frame that was brought forward. The runway for his return was brought forward by the absence of Brayshaw permanently, and that's my take on it. I said that at the time. I haven't deviated from that. I mean, Melbourne can argue what they want, but they had him out of the team and out of their planning for the season as far back, and it was recently as late January for a season that starts in early March. It's not the normal preparation. As you said, he performed. He performed last year when he missed the 12 weeks for injury reasons last year, and he still was one of their better players in the finals last year.
There is performing, but there's also, I think, the weight it carries on a team. So it's so much on Clayton to carry his weight now throughout, because it takes so much to win a premiership. And if you've got some players who go, gee, I reckon he's been pretty lucky, because there's blokes who have worked their backside off in the pre-season, not as good as him, but they didn't get a game. He gets a game, so then he lets them down the track. Well, then that's how I reckon it can really split a playing group.
Lloydie, when you were captain of the club, you had a couple of divisions in your team.
Yeah.
How hard is it for guys in a team, and I've seen it firsthand at Collingwood and all through my career, we've all been involved in it, if somebody's acting the goat and you really want to support them and all that, but it's still the pressure. The media's down there every week, everyone's asking about you. It's like being punched in the bruise non-stop. How hard is it, or when do you just say, Barley, I've had enough of this?
Sheeds and I used to have a lot of arguments because Sheeds would challenge me and go, "You're too black and white. Like you're too hard." And I'll say, "Sheeds, but I just don't trust that player out on the ground. Like, how are we going to go forward?" And he always would go the softer side in a way as he went on with saying, "No, come on, they've come up from a different background than you. Think about that." So it can split teams down the middle, and when you're losing like Melbourne lost on the weekend, I think there's a lot of pressure on them against the Western Bulldogs this week not to get off to a 0.
It's interesting.